Go back to the Nutrimedical report for Tuesday, and it's closer and closer to Christmas. It is now the 20th. And welcome back to the program, Pete FETTIG. And there could be no better time than people saving in gold by the gram than right now. The economy, there looks like the Dow is going to hit 20,000. The economy is coming back. Now's the time to actually save up. It's like, if you were a squirrel, now is the time to save the nuts. And the nuts are grams, or currency notes are fractions of a gram of gold. The thing about KARATBARS is different than gold and silver coins is it is a currency. It is something that can't be manipulated by a government or a bank because it's not sponsored by either one. It also has K exchange, which means you could potentially use it for international exchange and currency transfer with no concern that it's just an encrypted cyber currency like 100 Bitcoin-like currencies. It's actual money. And that's what's really cool about it. This is a traveling vault in either the KARATBAR cards or the KARATBAR currency. The simplest thing you have to do basically is share with other people. Say, you want to convert a latte a day, for example, into a gold and silver, to gold coins in a sense as a gram, because you can make change, which means that you're going to have a gram of gold that during hard times might be incredibly valuable. Obviously, if a gold coin is worth, let's say, it's $1,300 or $1,400 now, and during times of trouble, it could be $20,000. You can't make change with a 1-ounce gold coin, or even a tenth of an ounce. You can with a gram of gold. So, Pete, tell us about some of your latest exploits with people of how they get into the business of just sharing with other people, because you're not going to have something that's going to decay in your garage. You're going to have something that's going to appreciate in value. And if the bottom does fall out, because there's parts of our world economy that are pretty shaky. In fact, I was just looking at the Google News, and if you look at the international news in terms of world business, Europe is teetering. Even Christine Lagarde has been recently charged with some other crime on the side. But the IMF is scrambling. They're going to raise the interest rates here. 0.25%, which I think is not a good sign, because if you even raise it 1%, let's say over the next year, it's going to catastrophically increase debt. We have Donald Trump to the rescue, but it may be a lot, but it may be a little late to prevent something catastrophic happening in the first months of 2017. What do you think?
I think there's even a bigger thing going on that we need to be very attuned to, and that is the war on cash that's going on around the world, but particularly starting in India and Venezuela, where they have eliminated the largest banknotes, basically, and forced everyone to effectively be poor, because in those countries, particularly in India, 95 or more % of business transactions are done in cash. And so by eliminating these larger banknotes, they're trying to force everybody into the digital age, and force everybody onto a no privacy kind of a system that they can track every transaction that you make. And it's all in the guise of protecting us from terrorism, which is...
Well, it's the same thing that we could have encryption technology that could protect us from cyber attacks, whether it's Russians or just hackers through WikiLeaks, etc. And, of course, the same with their money. I mean, we've had numerous attacks by Russia, China, and other just hackers, probably in their basement, including the DHS hacking 3 different states' election system that's been proven. But the real issue is they've done this on purpose because they want us to feel afraid, so we will succumb to biometric validation of our electronic cash. So first they create a problem. They start to eliminate cash. They have poor cyber control to protect the cash. And they continue pushing us toward a cashless society when they know damn well they can't protect us. So this is on purpose to make sure they get hegemony and total control over every citizen on Earth by controlling their cash. It'll all be like it's in their supercomputer. And that's why if you don't have gold by the gram, you won't have a currency. Because it says in the Bible that all rich and poor, free and bond, will be receiving a mark. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have a chip. It doesn't even mean you have to have a tattoo. It means you have to have a biometric system of tracking so that you have cash. For example, right now they have an app that you can actually get, I think, on your iPhone now. They'll do a biometric facial analysis. It's not going to be very far before you have to do an iris scan or something in order to get into specific buildings. And in fact, either it'll be your phone or someone else's phone where you'll have a digital representation of your corrected iris scan. Yeah, welcome to the program, Jim.
Hello.
We're talking about the attack on cash. Yeah, maybe you have some inputs on that because you're only here for a couple of segments. So, cash is being attacked by in India and other countries, and they've eliminated the larger notes in Venezuela and India. It's very probable that in the next few years, people are going to find it very hard to actually use cash for anything. We've got Apple Pay now. We've got, facial recognition apps on your phone. I think what's going to happen is we're going to gradually get pushed into this cul-de-sac of using a cashless system, and it's very vulnerable, which means they're going to require more and more validation with biometrics. Maybe even a micro drop of your blood, like I saw at Oak Ridge National Labs back in 1999, where they could take a micro drop and with a DNA endonuclease and a little microchip that cost 42 cents to make, they could tell you who you were from every other person on Earth, and they could even get your tissue type to determine if your tissues would be transplantable. So I'm very concerned, and I think that people should realize, even if you're not a biblical person or even a Christian, you should realize that these signs, which we Christians know, are telling us that a cashless system is going to be devilish, and it's coming, isn't it?
Well, I take a little bit of, though I am a Christian, I take a little bit of a different view on that. But I will.
Well, it's going to come eventually. I don't know when it is. I'm not presuming that, but I can tell you, a system where total control of transactions through electronic divots is coming. Whatever variation, I think there's a lot of variations that are going to come. Like there's 100 different cryptocurrencies now, and there's even OneCoin and other systems. So,
well, what's really cool that's going on with KARATBARS is that they at some point will be setting up an internal mechanism so that you can actually see the thing that's appealing and how this all slips in, as you know, is convenience. Oh, you don't have to carry around money. You don't have to worry about losing money. It's not on your person. You just, you got a chip under your skin, whatever, Well,
or just your biometrics. You just have to submit your biometrics.
Yeah, look at something. Yeah, scan your iris and all that. Minority Report, a la my Minority Report, right?
Well, they started that in Canada 8 years ago, and the U.S. as well, so that you can get an iris scan and zip through security like you're gone. It's like, whoa, how did that person get through? And you think they're not a senator or a congressman. No, they just submitted to a security scan where they have an iris scan, digital fingerprints, and they're whipped right through because their security clearance is already a given.
Yeah, the challenge with that, as you know, is it's just as good as the people that are controlling the data or the money, for that matter.
Right. So
if that's why I don't ever use the cloud. People talk about, you can store everything in the cloud. Well, who runs the cloud? Who has access to the my information on that cloud server? But anyway, that's another topic. What's cool with KARATBARS is their plan eventually is to do the K exchange, which will be internal transfers, which simply means if you have a K exchange account and a vendor has a K exchange account, a service or business, then you go in and you can actually do an internal transfer from account to account in fractional grams without exchanging anything physically by hand. Now, the challenge with that is the challenge with anything is, do you trust the person that's actually controlling or has oversight of the accounts? And of course, in this case, it's KARATBARS, and they have to answer to third parties and have to be audited and all that. And they store the gold, so but if you don't feel good about that, you got the option of taking physical gold. What's also cool is they're getting ready to come out with the standalone KARATBARS Cash, which are actually look like currency. They're not, but they're these bills that actually have 1, 2, 4, and 6/10 of 1/10 to 6/10 of a gram of gold embedded in the actual piece of, looks like a dollar bill. And they're really slick, so they're just like money. I mean, just, like what we think of money. Money is, kind of a funny
but
thing.
it is actually real money, you see. All of the
It's
fractional
real
reserve
physical,
currencies, all the fractional reserve currencies in the world are actually, I call anti-money, because they actually are a debt note. They actually say on the note, you owe the Fed Reserve $1, $10, $20. It doesn't say you have $20 of gold or silver in your pocket.
Right.
It says you owe the Fed Reserve $20.
So what's really cool about this cash gold is it looks like what people are familiar with. It's paper, you hold it in your hand, you can exchange it for goods and services, so they go, oh, it's money. But the difference is it's actually got a piece of gold embedded right into the bill, or it's got 6 pieces. It'll either have 1 through 6 pieces of 1/10 of a gram KARATBAR gold bar embedded right into the bill. So instead of walking around handing people debt instruments, Federal Reserve notes, anti-money, they're actually walking around handing them physical pieces of gold embedded in a bill. It looks like a bill, just like the anti-money, but it works like the anti-money, quote unquote, in terms of transacting and doing commerce. But it's real money. It's really exchanging real goods and services. So it's pretty slick. So they're KARATBARS is really way ahead of the game and has it all in the works. And what's nice too is once these kiosks really get some traction, then I'm going to be talking to them about actually installing or giving these vendors the option of having cash gold, we call it cash gold, KARATBARS cash gold,
right,
in their machine so that they can actually go up, put anti-money in and get real money out.
Yeah, put dollars or pounds sterling or euros or whatever and get real KARATBARS gold money out.
Now to be fair to everybody, that's probably still a ways out, still a few months out, but that's where we're hoping to go, and that's what we hope to do, and so that's pretty cool, pretty exciting.
Yeah, so these kiosks are being made in America. They will be shipped all over the world, so they could be in Santiago, Chile, or Berlin, or whatever. The neat thing about it is that with K-Exchange and with these other systems, I think that the characteristics of KARATBARS as a currency compared to, say, the 100 cryptocurrencies or even OneCoin, it has superior, if you want to call it, pedigree. There's things about it that make it more powerful and more real than these cryptocurrencies or any other system like that has been used in the past.
Right. Well, what I like about the cryptocurrencies is secure transactions and privacy of transactions. What I like about the gold is it has real intrinsic value. I mean, the value given to cryptocurrencies is that people have to mine them, so there's labor that's put into them in order to generate these things, and it is a limited number of crypto bills or crypto whatever they are. So you can't ever dilute it. Once all of it's mined, it's done. But the crypto thing, it's kind of shaky in terms of its value, the intrinsic value. Yeah, I understand you can argue that labor was made to generate the cryptocurrency, but it's not the same as tangible gold. I mean, you can't take a cryptocurrency and actually do anything with it physically. With KARATBARS gold, even if that 1/10 of a gram, if push came to shove, you could actually take that piece of gold out of that cash gold piece of paper and physically use it for something. It has medicinal purposes. It has electronic purposes. It's actually a functional, tangible asset. So that's what distinguishes gold from cryptocurrencies. Though I do like the security and the privacy of crypto transactions.
Yeah. And of course, that also means that if things got really hairy, you could have a peer-to-peer network that could exchange also KARATBAR currency besides the current one on the regular internet.
The one thing I like about OneCoin is they do claim to back it with gold. I haven't looked at it closely lately. So that's kind of marrying the best of both worlds. But again, somebody's holding the physical gold, so you have to trust the person that's holding the gold. That's always going to be the case unless you physically hold it yourself.
Yeah. What I think is people need to have, like G. Edward Griffin, multiple ways of kind of seeing which way the currencies are going to go to protect people's wealth. And it's
like Ron Paul said, competing currencies. That's what he's always preached.
Right.
It's have a free market of currencies.
But if you look at the pedigree, and you're a good horse person, let's say, and you're down the races, and you have a real good veterinarian, and you have somebody who knows how to pick them, you want to pick KARATBARS. This is the horse that's going to win. And it's got so many different advantages to it because you're just sharing a system. You don't have to flog it. And if people are not really interested, just next. You could be 10 deep before you get somebody that's really interested in working the business by just sharing it. And the thing is that events are going to start changing, so people are going to get panicky. They're going to say, well, what do I do? Many countries in the world, their currencies are so unstable. Having KARATBARS is a godsend. And you can even, for example, I use the example of a leather shop, let's say in Santiago, Chile, or Sao Paulo, Brazil, and they're buying some leather from outside the country, let's say Italian leather, because they're going to make leather bags or shoes or other things, and they have really good workers to hand make these things, but their material is really expensive, and if their own main currency is collapsing, they can use KARATBARS, which they've been saving up for several years, as a way of buying inventory so they can actually have inventory on a stable currency. The same way as eventually I see it where people are in these other countries and they say, look, I'm going to requisition and buy some vehicles, and I have a contract that you'll accept X amount of KARATBARS as payment for these vehicles that they're going to ship down. For example, when the currencies collapsed last year, and they did it in Venezuela, when the currencies collapsed, a lot of people couldn't afford to even restock their inventory if they had a business like auto sales or medical equipment or supplies made elsewhere. They were in big trouble. Right. And that's one of the problems with unstable currencies. That's why they put out Bretton Woods after the Second World War, which kind of put them all together in a basket and then had an interlocking exchange rate between each currency, and they backed it by gold. It's my guess someone smart like Donald Trump or one of his, I call Cabinet of Titans, is going to try to propose some financial system to re-amalgamate the banks of Europe and America with the BRICS nations instead of this battle, which is very bad for everybody, and put some kind of fixed rate exchange between the different currencies. And it'll try to back it by gold. The thing is, that means immediately your KARATBARS is even going to be more valuable. And if anybody fiddles the currency like the Chinese, because they've been doing currency manipulation for a long time, which is why Donald Trump, who is the master of the deal, he knows the Chinese have been putting the screws to us, manipulating the currency, putting tariffs on American goods coming into the country. We don't do it to them, and as a result, we've had $800 billion deficit per year to China. It's just unreasonable.
Well, it's really cool. I found this out the other day. One of the guys in his cabinet, I forget his name, but he's in his cabinet related to finance, right, treasury, or something like that. He was actually a supporter. The guy that Trump appointed supported Rand Paul, and Rand is one of the only people in government that understands the bogus money system. So if this is a guy that supported Paul and Trump appointed him, that tells me something very interesting about Trump. And I've heard that he's more than glad to take gold as payment for goods and services. So he's
done a lot of people say he's done it in the past, actually.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of people say, oh well, Trump's bringing in some Goldman Sachs people and blah 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 blah. But
no.
The thing is, he's a lot.
He's going to have his finger on this. He's not going to let people wander off and kind of do a Trump-ish kind of tactic. No, he's going to be very innovative. People need to realize
he can always do his apprentice gig. You're fired.
yeah, right. Well, the fact is, he's going to make sure that anybody who's there, including, let's say, Rex Tillerson or General Flynn, whatever, they're going to carry policies that he already has a pretty good idea which way he's going to go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's pretty encouraging to see how that's developing. The only thing is, are they going to try to take it out?
There's also another person in his cabinet who wants to get rid of the Fed. Funny money or reserve money is coming. And I just looked at Newsmax, and at the top of the list of headlines here, President Trump loves gold, wants to return to the gold standard. Then the next one shows U.S. government ends bank bailouts, will seize your accounts to save the banks. That's called bailing in. I call it a haircut where the blade's set below your chin. Free book, Rescue Your Money from the National Debt Disaster. And of course, Christine Lagarde, the World Bank's latest move could kill the U.S. dollar. I don't think so. But I'll tell you what's going to happen is...
She's in hiding, by the way.
Yeah, well, she's actually been charged, involved with some other crime, and I'm not sure of the details of it, but she's involved with some other kind of crime. But the financial system as it is a crime. The ratio between actual debt and the various currencies, and because they're not interlocked, for example, we have countries that are living off our exchange difference, for example, China, all these other nations that are just going to town. It's because of bad leadership for probably 40 years that won't negotiate like Donald Trump. Whether it's procuring for military equipment or aircraft or getting the next Air Force One, 2 jets, by the way, the Air Force One, too. But the real issue is Donald is going to clean house, man. This guy is, and he is energized. He's the Energizer Bunny. Hillary would have 200 people in a gymnasium, and he'd have 5 different rallies with 20 to 30,000 people in a day. I mean, come on now. And then already ahead of schedule, he's got this Titan cabinet. And I can tell you right now, the reason why this man is rich is this man is manic. He is a goer, and he knows how to renegotiate stuff, and it's going to happen. And,
you know what amazes me? I know it's a side note, but what really has amazed me about Trump as I dug in, because I was skeptical with him at first until I dug in and started really feeling, is that he has done what he's done in business and yet has raised the kids that he has. That's just a mind blower. You don't normally see that. When you see somebody that's a workaholic, married to their business, they're literally married to their business. They have no family. And yet he brings
his family into his business. That's why
exactly he incorporates them all along.
He brought his sons down to the construction site, so that by the time they're in their 20s, they've had so many years of experience. No other person in the business world can compete with his sons that are half their age. And that's when we look at Ivanka, who's a very smart lady. I'm telling you, she's the kind of person that you could see as a female president in the future.
I was saying the same thing, that she at some point could very easily probably run and do very well.
Well, she's going to be, what I've heard is she will be a co-president. It won't be his wife, his European wife, who has her own business. It will be Ivanka. And by the way, Kushner, they want to blame the Russians for the election of Donald Trump. There's one man I would put 85 to 90% of the reason why he's elected is Kushner. This guy is a freaking genius with arranging resources and controlling the public and alternative media. This guy Kushner, and you can see the dynamic duo coming to Washington, D.C. They will be, in a sense, co-presidents with Donald Trump.
Well, Kushner had a guy, a tech guy, on his team, and they actually did all the technical analyticals on the campaign, and it told them exactly where Trump needed to go. This is where you need to go. This is where we're going to have traction. This is where we can win. All the data is showing it. I mean, these guys. I got some help with a gentleman, Jim Garrity, in New York back 6 months ago, and we switched from Genesis to RBN. We set up Deagle Network. I've got premium video channels now on Vimeo, YouTube, and live stream was now in my studio. I have built a supercomputer. I've got full production studio for video and audio. And we have a huge reach now because I can put out videos that get on every platform in English on the planet in audio and video and RSS feeds. So it's the same thing with Donald. He spent a fraction of the money of Podesta. Now the thing is, this is the same thing with you people out there. You don't need to get a fancy website. I've talked to people, I need a fancy website first before I do KARATBARS. Like, are you kidding? I only know 3 people. I had one gentleman who's Portuguese in London. And I only know 3 people. I say, well, those 3 people probably know 20 people. So just get started. If you go 2 or 3 deep, you know thousands of people in your downline. And I couldn't believe it within weeks of we starting this last year on KARATBARS, we had people signing up with us in Eastern Europe and Middle East, South America. We were like, you got to be kidding. This is crazy. And it's an international business. It's not just American. A good businessman. For example, when we put in Rex Tillerson from Exxon, and he has people that are generals that are also good, or military personnel like Viola, who is actually former, Marine Special Combat Unit and also the Reserve, who actually owns an NFL team in Florida. You're talking about somebody who's got military experience, strategic, and also good in business. So they know how to get things done.
And, for me to do what I do, for example, in my show here, if I wasn't good in business, which comes from my grandfather, Leon Naima, there's no way I could succeed at providing people with free information or advance all the information on functional medicine or have a platform for great authors or even bring people some financial security by saying get involved with KARATBARS. If everybody that listened to this program, and by the way, we have more audience now than MSNBC, which is a lot. I mean, we have huge numbers. And they just decided, I think maybe this is a good idea. You just try it. Set 12 weeks, an hour a day, 5 days a week, and just get a list and get the people downline and help them to get their list and call them and say, here's a 5-minute sizzle call. If you like it, sign up, buy a gram of gold a month to get 2 people to the sponsor. And the only ever really sponsor, too. I mean, we have people downline that are signing up and they're being put way down the list. And they're ending up popping up on people's things on their list of people if they check their KARATBARS. The funny thing is, they don't realize until they go in and check and say, oh, wow, look, there's some money waiting for me. All I have to do is work on my other leg, and that money goes into my account in Stuttgart, Germany, and I can convert that to gold. So you get free gold. I mean, this is too simple. And the Germans are actually very fussy. They have tighter financial laws than anybody else on earth, including America or Europe or anybody else in Europe. So, if the Germans are going to do this, they're going to do it. And they even have rules in the way so it's not even considered a multi-level. You can actually get involved with KARATBARS. It's stupid if you don't buy in and use your, get a membership. But you can actually get involved with it and make some money and sponsor people without putting a cent in. But it wouldn't make sense.
Well, something else, too, I'll mention related to that. Quebec really came down hard on us. The province of Quebec up in Canada said that we were violating their securities exchange things because we were offering these packages. People buy a package and get into the marketing thing. But anyway, long story short, we got total clean bill of health. They said company's good, there's no violation, our gold is competitive, it's of the highest quality. I mean, this is the government of Quebec saying all this stuff. So that's really important.
Well, why do you think that was? Because a little country like Canada, which is like 30 million people, did you know 3 of the largest 10 banks in the world are Canadian?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Isn't that interesting? Toronto Dominion Bank, Bank of Montreal, and the Royal Bank of Canada.
Well, I mean, they're all tied in together. I mean, the whole World Bank system, includes the Federal Reserve, everything in Canada. I mean, they're all in cahoots. It's all anti-money, like you said. And
right, but the way they manage their banking rules, they're not as highly leveraged into this derivative garbage like they are in the States or in Europe, and they're a lot more solvent.
Interesting.
Which is really interesting. So the Canadian banks are some of the best run banks on the planet. The Royal Bank of Scotland, for example, owned by the Queen, is not run well at all. In fact, it's functionally, it's done. So the thing is, it's really badly run banks in Italy and Germany, and they're very likely going to have some major problems. I have to think that we've got to get to the point of saying, hey, we're going to have to write off some debt here. We're going to have to move toward a fixed exchange rate like Bretton Woods between the currencies, and we're going to have to back it by gold. So we stop foolishness. And we also have to stop letting individual countries or even transnational corporations manipulate the currency. The problem is that's not going to occur right away. It's going to take maybe 2 terms of Trump trying to get the whole world to kind of get their act together. But America's going to do things. If America just does one thing and makes the gold standard for the U.S. dollar. Now, people don't understand this, but the U.S. Federal Reserve note is 90% of all money on Earth. Did you know that? 90% of all money on Earth, and two-thirds of it is not physical printed money. It's electronic money transferred overnight, etc., in exchange for things like oil and so on. But 90% of all the currency on the earth is in Federal Reserve notes, which is why everybody else, if they tried to inflate their currency, they're going to blow it up, like the euro and so on. Not so much the dollar. So you've got a few trillion here, a few trillion there. It doesn't blow up the U.S. dollar currency because there's so damn much out there. So the thing is, if they put a gold standard behind it, everybody will have to clamor to get a linkage to the dollar. Otherwise, they're going to be shut right out of the idea of even exchanging or even trading with us. So
Well, something else that's really significant in that is that if if they wind up going to gold as a backing for our currency, then the true value of gold will come up, and it's going to be a lot more than what it is right now.
Well, I think that if you look at the relative currency values, what would you estimate? Because I've heard some numbers from Gerald Salenti and others that estimate that gold should be somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 an ounce.
I've heard it on that high end, but I would venture to guess 10 times of what its current value is.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is, but my guess it's a lot more than it is now. Right now it's $1,300, so maybe add another zero, so $13,000.
Yeah.
That means if a tenth of a gram coin, which is a real little coin. I used to carry some in my wallet, little tenth of a gram coins.
They're dinky.
They're dinky, man. They're little. You can slide those in one little compartment. Like, what's those little shiny things? Oh, there's 6 or 8 of those. Those could be equivalent if the gold went up like that. To each one of those little coins could be equivalent to like $1,300.
Well, let me think about it. So right now we're looking at around $65 a gram. So a tenth of a gram would be $6.50. Of course, it'd be marked up because it's
right.
You get smaller increments. So let's say it's $8 for a tenth of a gram. So if it goes 10 times its value, a tenth of a gram would be worth $80. So that's it's just this little bitty teeny piece of gold.
Yeah, we have to use an eye loop, like the jeweler's eye loop to see it.
Yeah.
When you're sizing a ring, because I used to help my grandfather. We used sizing rings and doing jewelry and melting it and so on. Because you have to either add gold or take gold away and cut it out to resize rings. And the thing is that these little fragments are, really valuable. And now that they're in a traveling vault, I mean, it is a currency and its own traveling vault. That's what's really cool about KARATBARS.
Yeah. Well, the beauty about gold is it just always has value. The economy can be good, the economy can be bad. It doesn't matter. It's stable. Unlike anti-money, as you like to call it, debt instruments, those are totally controlled by men that are all about lining their own pocket. So there's no stability whatsoever. I mean, they try to keep it stable by manipulating, interest rates and stuff like that. The only reason I have to play the interest rate game is because it's intrinsically unstable. So they've got to manipulate its stability. They got to force it to be stable. But what happens is over time, it continues to deteriorate in value so that you now have to pay, close to 50 cents for a stamp when you only had to pay 1 penny for a stamp. Well, that's not because stamps went up in price. It's because it takes a lot more of that unstable, manipulated anti-money to acquire one of those suckers.
Well, I think what year was it they took the silver out of the silver dime here in America? It was the 50s or 60s?
65, yeah. I knew it was somewhere around there.
Back then, you see, both U.S. and Canada, the dime actually was silver, real silver.
Oh, yeah. Because I've got some
real silver. Exactly. So what happened is, I remember going to Creelman's grocery store in Toronto, Nova Scotia, because my father was Canadian, my mom was born in North Dakota. And I remember going down there at 4 years of age and asking for penny candy. And if you had 2 pennies, you got a big bag of candy. You go all over the store and put stuff in there. It's like, wow.
I remember the 1 penny bubble gum.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, I thought it was really a big deal, some years later when it was 5 cents for a chocolate bar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people nowadays, they say, you've got to be kidding. And, of course, they don't understand that the actual value, for example, look at homes, look at cars, look at pensions. The inflation is a way of stealing your future to get elected today.
Yep.
So when you look at Obama, he's a social organizer. He just basically stole your grandkids' future so he could get himself 2 terms to fiddle around and take lots of vacations.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, going back to this whole gold thing, people just have to understand is if you're going to get gold, do you want just any kind of gold or do you want the Cadillac of gold? Do you want gold that's got third-party coming from a third-party certified source that has the quote good housekeeping seal of approval of the gold industry on it.
Right.
And in 1/10 of 1 gram. People say, why in the world would I want it that?
People, you're being a gold bug. I think both of you guys have been gold bugs for years. I have been, years ago started collecting gold. I remember started buying gold when it was like 250 an ounce and so on. So I've got some older gold coins and silver coins. And I see a break in the financial system next year because I believe one of the cards, the anti-Trump cards by the globalists, is to try to crash the world economy. Yep. I don't know which nation is going to do it first, if it's the Japanese or the Chinese when they freak out. Most people don't realize that China is literally a paper tiger. China is, although it's 78% right now, and it has been higher rate of growth, it's all on our backs. And the problem is, you see, they have factories with no pollution standards, no water standards, no work standards. The average 600 workers a day in China is either permanently injured or dead. People don't know that. Their cities are so polluted because they don't have pollution standards to even have scrubbers on their smokestacks. They've had to shut down automobiles and shut down factories because they can't breathe. Now,
not only that, but they've got all this vacant property everywhere. That people think, they've had a boom in real estate. Yeah, but nobody's actually occupying the real estate.
Right, that's 100 miles inland, and that's all these giant cities built. And what you're basically saying is it's going to burst. Half the loans for business are shark loans at 20% or higher. And they've been manipulating the currency to have these factories. They build 100,000 warehouses to store stuff they can't ship to other countries. 100,000 in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So China's ready to go pop. And right now this idea of setting up all these military bases in the South China Sea, this is a desperate move by aging old guard communists that are in their 70s and 80s, and they're ready to pop too. I mean, they're youngsters by comparison to Zsa Zsa Gabor that died in 99. And Jerry Lewis, I saw his interview, and this guy's a snarly character now. Woo! He's not the happy Jerry Lewis I saw when I was a kid. This is a guy that'll snap your head off verbally. But I'm telling you, that the thing is, these old guard communists, they're trying to crack right down now on their younger guys and the younger people. And for every job that's qualified in China, there's 9 people qualified for engineering or teaching or whatever it happens to be. And they're trying to use social media.
Yeah, what's really also interesting that's not in the news at all is the spiritual awakening going on in China. There are people that are turning to 90% Christianity.
90% of the new Christians on earth are Chinese.
Yeah,
some of those are Catholic, some of them are evangelical, but whatever. 90% of the new Christians on earth, the whole planet, are Chinese.
Yeah, there's also a big spiritual awakening going on in the Middle East among the Arabic countries too. So
but you know what the evangelist is?
It's Visions and Radio.
He's got the initials JC. He shows up. Believe it or not, you can't go in there, you get beheaded. So actually, Jesus himself is showing up to evangelize.
I've heard they're showing up in visions and dreams and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and all kinds of stuff, supernatural things happening. People say, well, why is this happening? I said, it's because you may not want to believe this, but it's called the end times. Because when they kill cash, because they're trying to kill cash. Now, this is despite whether Trump's in there or not, because Trump's going to do a lot of good things, but if they kill cash and move to a biometric system, which a lot of countries are moving to, it's going to get horrendous, because if you give absolute power to a small clique of, people that are kind of, look what we got. We got total control of the population now. We don't just have their money in the bank. We got their digital cash. So we just have to press Alt-Delete and they cease to exist. Because if we wipe out their SIM, they don't exist anymore. That's why KARATBARS is so valuable, because you'll have an actual currency despite whatever the hell they do.
Yep.
You might be living in the Blue Ridge Mountains selling hooch, but you got KARATBARS, and you don't just have carrots to sell or chickens. You got KARATBARS, and it's not like, what's up, Doc, KARATBARS? It's real gold, real money. And people need to realize that scenario can't happen. People say, that can't happen.
The thing, something everybody can relate to is, when they find gold at the bottom of the ocean that's been there for hundreds of years, and it's just exactly the same as it was when it went down.
The globalist, it says in the Bible that at that day, the globalists will try to make sure that gold will, quote, canker, which means it'll rust and seems it won't be a legal tender. That means the globalists, but they're not going to be able to stop the underground economy. I mean, if you look across the world, Canada, the United States, if things get really screwed up like in Venezuela, I guarantee you the only economy left there is the underground economy. The regular economy is gone.
Well, there's a huge barter network already. There's a couple of major websites you can go on and do bartering through. That, I mean, that's already happening, and they obviously try to regulate it, but
they can't regulate it.
Yeah, you just can't.
You can also barter with KARATBARS. So besides using a regular currency, you can barter with KARATBARS, and how are they going to get taxes from you because you bartered with KARATBARS? And it's electronically exchanged on an encrypted network. Really?
Yep.
I don't think so. And, of course, this is why these lettered agencies who are trying to run everything in the world, including the CIA that set up ISIS and so on, how they're freaking out because there are non-prime number encryption systems, like just more than just even PGP, pretty good privacy. But McScribbleX is another one that makes a new encryption string every time you send or receive. There's no way they have enough money or time or computing power to decrypt everybody's encryption if we decided to say, you know what, the government made alternative media illegal. They tried to get rid of cash, and now they want total control of us by being able to, just press Alt-Delete. Well, they can go to hell because we got KARATBARS and we got an encrypted network.
There you go.
Yeah, good stuff, eh? Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Jim. And
Sure.
We'll see you next week, of course, right after the holidays. We will be here on Tuesday. The day after, of course, Monday's a holiday because of Christmas on Sunday. And we'll see you then. Mary, what do you take from today's show with the attack on cash, the Donald Trump statement, and I'm going to actually, quote him. It says here, bringing back the gold standard would be wonderful. We have a standard on which to base our money, Donald Trump. So, besides all the other great things that I can say about Donald, this guy knows how to run the business of America. And everybody else better get in line. He's got a Titan list now. These guys are wound up and ready to govern. And it's good, too, but, although Donald's going to do that for the nation, you need to be the Donald Trump for your home. You need to get involved with KARATBARS. You need to start saving in gold by the gram. You need to have savings, but the best form of savings isn't fractional reserve funny money. It's gold by the gram. Better than coins, better than antiques, better than setting up a still in your backyard if you're in the Blue Ridge Mountains, is to have gold by the gram, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. And, the release of the information on the cash gold that KARATBARS is now going to be offering, it sounds like it's coming up in January. I think that's just a huge leap forward for anybody. I mean, there really isn't anything like that you can find anywhere else. And not only that, getting something that you can use effectively as a currency, as cash payment, it's going to defeat the whole effort to go cashless.
Well, Trump in the past has accepted gold from tenants into skyscrapers and has invested millions himself in it. And he knows that as the teetering currencies and money systems in Europe and China start to collapse, because while you're rebuilding this like the phoenix bird, it's going to be collapsing at the same time. That's why they're talking about raising the interest rates. But who are we paying interest to? We're paying the interest to the Fed Reserve that puts pixie dust on our funny money that says we owe the Fed Reserve. And pixie dust is a lot of money. So if you put 0.25% interest on $20 trillion, that's, as they say, $1 billion here and $1 billion there, that's a lot of money.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And why? Why? Because they have the pixie dust. So if if he has a gold standard and gets rid of the Fed Reserve, which is very possible, and the Europeans, by the way, you can see what's going to happen there. They're going to become the United States of Europe. They're going to get rid of the bureaucrats. They'll have some degree of national sovereignty, but they'll have a unified military, unified rail system, unified satellite control, and unified border. That means you're going to see the United States become a real superpower again, and parallel that, the rise of the superstate Europe, which will become the prescient number one nation besides America in the world. Now, okay, it's going to take a lot of time to catch up, but they're already talking about fusion reactors that they're going to build in Europe. They're already talking about technology that they're way ahead of many other countries. So what I see coming is you need to get your own house in order. Besides watching Trump, become the Trump for your family and get gold by the gram. Start, if you want to get a membership for your family members. That's a great Christmas present, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go to our Nutrimedical 7 link on the front page of Nutrimedical. Sign them up. Get them started to save in gold by the gram. Believe me, in a year or two, when they have thousands downline, they'll thank you. Because who knows what's coming. And I guarantee you that the financial Jenga stick could be pulled out from under Trump. So although he may eventually succeed in 8 years, 2 terms, he's going to have a big challenge. And you don't want to be a bystander or get damaged in the melee that the globalists will pull